Hello there, guys. It's the 16th of May, 2019, and here live on Crackbook on a week that is in the Ways of the World awareness on Mental Health Week, and it is also awareness for Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Month. And there's a number of little different things that are going on at the moment. But this week we're here to talk about mental health. And one thing that I really want to talk about mental health is the amount of children that are being taken from their families as a result of mental health diagnosis, and whether these are correct diagnosis or whether these are long-term diagnosis. The effects is that families are having their children taken within the family courts based on the fact that parents are being diagnosed with mental health conditions, and sometimes these mental health conditions are not even given labels. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have gone through some form of trauma. It's okay to be struggling with how you perceive the world, and it is okay to be struggling with your own identity. What is not okay is for judges, solicitors, barristers, social workers, CAF officers, support workers to be abusing families in such a way that is actually causing mental health issues. As I've said, to want to ultimately achieve mental health is a great thing. To be 100%, mentally sane is probably something that nobody can actually achieve. We all have 1,000 million different thoughts going on in our minds a day. We all have positive and negative and fears and faith and doubt and certainty. We all have polarity. We all have a conscience and a subconscious, other way around. And we all go through these times of testing and trials and having to learn who we are, what we stand for, why we're here, what our purpose is here, is a journey within itself. From that was my front door. 2 seconds. I'm back from here. Well, that was strange because that was actually my door opening and closing. So I must have left it ajar. And Amber must be on giving people out my address because I got 2 more birthday cards for tomorrow. So they can go. In fact, I think they're the same writing. But if you notice on all of the envelopes, it is Mental Health Awareness Week, to the point that it's even stamped on our post that that's how much they're supporting mental health. But as somebody who has a psychology degree and somebody who's been through the family courts and had 2 children taken for forced adoption herself, I can see this from a different perspective and point of view. And what I am seeing in the family courts is nothing more than cut and pastes. I am seeing nothing more than regurgitations of paragraphs and sentences that come from the DSM-5 and paragraphs and sentences that come from the books that we learn from when we go to university. And they are not representative of the families that are standing in court. And this is a big problem. Basically, when a person comes under social services, no social worker can look at you and know who you are, what you're about, what your triggers are, what your experiences are, and what you've been through. So automatically it's to send you for a psychological assessment. no psychological assessment can come back clean of all forms of mental health. And even if they say that there are not any mental health concerns, most people don't actually list the level of stress and anxiety that they have been through. The death of a family can cause mental health. The death of a child can cause mental health. Divorce can cause mental health. Separation can cause mental health. Falling out with a friend and unresolved issues can cause a fluctuation of mental health. Anything that puts you through some form of emotional turbulence or emotional dis-ease or disassociation, or I'm getting technical with words now, and this is what annoys me, because basically you go through life and you go through pain and pleasure. It's as simple as that. You will move towards things that you love, things that you adore, things that you want to do, and you will avoid or try to avoid circumstances and experiences that bring you ultimate pain. And unfortunately, we do go through these situations, and people will try to cope with them in any way, shape, or form that they can. You know, to have a grandparent or parent die and get up tomorrow morning and have to go to work for somebody who has no compassion and understanding is traumatic in itself. To go through grief and have everybody around you for the funeral and the days and weeks afterwards, and then to find yourself alone and isolated dealing with these things, cause mental health. And we all need somebody to talk to share our experiences with. You're going to have to ignore me because I'm streaming, so it basically means I'm either shaking a leg or bouncing. And it keeps my own anxiety at bay. It's part of what Aspies do when they've got a lot of stuff going on. You'll catch an Aspie shaking, bouncing, pacing up and down. That's what we call streaming, and it's how we keep repetitive things going in times of storms. So it's basically like treading on water with our legs flapping and hands flapping, but we're still treading water. That's pretty much what an Aspie is doing, or an autistic person is doing, when they are bouncing, pacing, things like that, which is not mental health, but causes mental health challenges because of how other people perceive it. So basically what I was talking about was the family courts and how they are using psychological reports to label people, but also using this as ammunition to then remove the babies and children for long-term foster care or forced adoption or special guardianship, which is actually causing long-term mental health issues. And it's a cycle that needs to be broken. So I'm saying to every person out there who is writing a psychological report for courts, I need you to be aware that these are then not being polarized within the courts. So basically, when a psychologist does a report, that is just the report. That's not the solution. It's not the end result. There is further stages to go to this. That would be like, say, hypothetically, what can I use? That would be like going to the doctors and saying, I've got these pains here and these pains here and these pains here. And then the doctor refers you over to a specialist, and then the specialist turns around and goes, you have cancer, or you have migraines, or you have leukemia, or you have this. And then that's it. And that's what's happening in the family courts. So, and because I'm just going to try and move, because I sort of need to bounce around and move my feet and things like that. And I'm on my laptop, which is a real pain in the arse because I need to be sort of bouncing around on my feet. I'm just going to grab the plug 2 seconds. So basically, once that diagnosis, I've got God pissing up the back of my door. You know this is really silly. Don't know how he got there. How did this guard get on the back of my door? Have you seen this guard on the back of my door? He's gone for the wee. He's gone for the wee on the back of my door. It's not funny, but Yeah, so basically, majority of people under family matters are being kicked over to legal planning, and one of the reasons that they're being kicked over to legal planning is because a section 47 doesn't give any form of funding, and these different levels basically access different levels of funding. So once you're in legal planning or you've been kicked over to the courts, then they can access the funding for psychological assessments. When you're under team around the child, team in need, or just having a section 47 evaluation done on your investigation, as they call it, there is no funding to pull in the services around you. There's no funding to help you, which is why they have to take you to another stage. But what the services are not realizing, and if they are realizing this, then it's sick. If they genuinely cannot see the consequences of their actions, which actually can be quite difficult to do. If I'm a rhino, hello, my friend Scott Alexander, who wrote Rhinoceros Success, and I keep using the rhinos in a negative connotation, because people who are really thick-skinned, who, you know, sort of a tunnel vision, who are very focused, and basically if you have the rhino attitude, that you're so focused and so driven that, you know, you've got one agenda and one focus and you're crashing all the way through it, you don't necessarily see the commotion and the devastation that is going on around you. Sometimes I have to really slam on the brake, because I have to look either side of everything that I'm doing, because I have to remember that there are other people in this that can't necessarily run as fast as we can and go at the pace that we can and move things as fast as we can. And say with Extinction Rebellion, while Extinction Rebellion were marching down the road, they were not aware of the ambulance that I could see from being sat on the side of the road in the van, moving down the other side of it, having to turn and move away. So that is not being able to see the consequence of your actions. So when you have a parent, be it mum, dad, nan, granddad, whatever, who is facing a decision that somebody else has control of. So when a parent has their baby, lovely little baby, beautiful little baby, they become fully responsible for that child, and it is their responsibility to provide the needs of that child. Now, unfortunately, there are people that have never been given the rule book on parenting, and sometimes people are going through their own traumas and stuff that they're not necessarily capable of giving the needs to. Ultimately, any person who has a child has the foundations and stability in order to be able to bring that child into the world, knowing full well that they are in a financial, emotional and physical space to be able to provide all of those needs. The majority of people have nans, granddads, uncles, aunts, supportive partners, brothers and sisters and stuff that helps, and they become within a family unit. One of the challenges that is happening is children who are taken into care grow up to be adults, which is why I understand why they push for permanency and, you know, moving children out of foster care and into adoption and into long-term homes. I get that. Remember, this polarity exists. As much as there is this railroad that's going through social that is attempting to try to help and support people, there is also the corruption and the money side of it running down the side. And then there is the guerrilla gang warfares and really corrupt people that are child trafficking. And then you got us in the middle. Clowns to the left, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. We're all stuck in the middle with some clowns to the left and jokers to the right. But unfortunately, what that does is it rattles our cages. And when you are served a letter that says that we have cause for concern for your child. So, okay, prime example. Okay, here's an envelope. Yeah. You get an envelope coming through your door. You have no idea what is in that envelope. It could be a nice birthday card. It could be a debt. It could be some political person throwing something through your door. When you don't know the outcome of something, or you don't know what is coming into your lives, it can cause some form of uncertainty. We as human beings thrive for certainty and variety. So a little bit of uncertainty. We need to know where we stand. We need to stand in our identity, and we need to have some form of certainty, even if that certainty is built in something that will never give us certainty. Like having a roof over your head is not certainty, but at least you know that you can get up and go out and come home to your house. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100%, because storms come, people lose homes, eviction happens, people lose homes. To build your stability in material things is not building certainty. Some people can say that they build their certainty in their faith. Faith can unwaver, faith can rock. And sometimes people can say, well, I've got my certainty in something that I can't see or really tangibly believe in. So that's not certainty either. You know, so when we're going into a situation like, and I'm talking from the perspective of a family that has just come under social services and is in complete turmoil because there's so much uncertainty going on. They don't know who they're meeting. They don't know who these people are. They don't know what the process they're going in. I even had a mum text me last night to just ask me what I can't think what she was asking me now, but she was asking me one question about process that she was going through today. That should have been explained to her by the service providers a long time ago. You know, when you're being put through a railroad, that should be explained to you. You know, if you go to school, you get to come forward and be explained, your teachers in your classrooms. Yet when you go through social services, you're not explained what a section 47 is, a section 20, what the court process is, how long this court process lasts for, how long you will be brought into court, what each meeting is. And it's you know, total overload for any person that's going through that, along with a letter that in black on the bottom basically says that if you ignore this letter, we will have, you know, the power to remove your child. Boom! Talk about fucking rearing a horse up. And now you've got a social worker and a judge stood in front of a mother or a father who's like this. You're going to take my baby. You're going to take my baby. You're going to take my baby. You're not going to fucking take my baby. You're going to take. And how is it that they are asking somebody to work with somebody in this state? Now, if I was standing in court as a person under mental health and I was on criminal trials, I would be deemed as incompetent to stand trial. Fact. Fact. If you come under the Mental Health Act, you are deemed incompetent, yes? So therefore, you are deemed that you are not competent to make the full-blown decisions exactly the same as if you're under medication within the criminal courts. However, when you're in the family courts, one, they give you a diagnosis, two, they put you through under the Mental Health Act, then they put you on the stage, on trial, without a jury, without any adequate support. They're going to throw things at you from your childhood. So say I'm an adult mother and I've come from foster care. And this has actually happened to me as well. So I can use this as in fact, I will use my own personal experience for it. So I've had my kids taken from the hospital. My life is already in what the fuck is going on. I'm being told my kids are being brought back the next day. I literally have just against the wall because the emotion and tears have just gone boomf. I have no forms of transport, and I'm being told I've got to get to court within an hour, which is over nearly 2 hours from where I am, and I've got to walk it and get there. And they've also, not only have they taken my kids, they've cut absolutely everything from me. They've cut my lifelines and everything. So then I walk into this court case where all of a sudden, now this isn't actually this particular, it's as it goes on. So say hypothetically, when I was a child, I was sexually abused, which I was, okay? Or I was removed from my mother, or somebody died, or some form of trauma that I went through, or you guys went through as a child. So all of a sudden, you're stood in court. You've got the legals for the father on one side, the legals for the mother, the legals for CAF, and you've got the legals for social services. And then you've got a couple of parents stood not knowing what the fuck to do. Half of the time they are in a room on their own, parents separated, all forms of family separated unless you're parties to proceedings, alone and isolated, and scared. Genuinely scared. Your future is in the hands of somebody else. And then all of a sudden, you're asked to come into court. You come in. Yeah, everybody stands up. And everybody sits down, unless you're in a common law court, don't sit down. And then all of a sudden, this barrister comes out on their side and goes, well, Your Honour, I would like you to take into consideration that, Ms. Cotton is highly intelligent. However, we have cause for concern with the fact that Miss Cotton had went through severe childhood abuse as a child, that she doesn't consider this to be traumatic, and we have concerns for this. What the fuck gives these people the right to talk about my childhood, my experiences, and address it in above a bunch of fucking strangers? What gives these people the right to go and sit in a freaking meeting and talk about anything that I have been through, done, or had? When somebody chooses to trust somebody with an experience that they have been through, they are choosing to trust that person. Not for them to then take this piece of information and take trauma. You're taking someone's trauma, their heart. That is the panic attack that is going on inside the parents as these people are talking about these situations. You can't see the anger. You can't see the blood vessels. You can't see the panic. You can't see the anxiety. And all of a sudden, bang, parent drops. And everybody in the court is running around and wondering why all of a sudden one of these parents has just completely dropped to the floor. Because that tossing barrister has just thrown their entire sexual abuse at them. Some nodding dog at the front has just gone, how bad this is. While other people are sitting looking at you pettified because of the circumstances that you've been through, that they have no permission to talk about. And they need to take this trauma, love it, nurture it, treat it with compassion, love, kindness. Not, hey, you were fucking raped. You're a piece of shit. Let's call you a narcissist. Let's tell you you don't have a full personality because of the trauma that we caused you in foster care. Let's call you grandeur because you've got a dream beyond the expectations of what a foster care child can achieve, or somebody from poverty because you believe you're slightly above your station, that you might actually be able to get a career that somebody from council house couldn't dare go to college or university now, could they? But it's happening. But not long ago this didn't happen. Not long ago only the elite went to university. Only the elite and powerful were to have education, to become judges and solicitors and barristers. And then the working class will become the policemen, the nurses, the social workers, the systematic Babylon services that creates a employment racket so people can get up, go to work and pay for their TV license, house and bills. And then these services that are there to help, to understand, to care, to be compassionate, to be loving, understanding, nurturing, kind, considerate, thoughtful, all these lovely, great qualities are coming in with their giant size fucking 9 freaking shoes and turning around to these parents and going, I'm sorry for what you went through. Bang! And now we're going to take your kids. And we're going to cause more trauma. And not only are we going to cause trauma to the mums, the dads, the nans, the granddads, the family and the friends, the nursery school friends that the children go to, the maybe even the teacher that's probably raised these children within their school for the last 6 or 7 years, who's been completely powerless to support the parents. I'm just putting my shoe back on, you know. And then, of course, this affects even the people who walk down the streets, because ultimately, once a child has been taken, the majority of people will assume that you've done something wrong. No, the majority of people who are having their children taken because they have been labelled with mental health diagnosis. And because we live in a society, we're not Americanized, you know, whoop, whoop, deal with the noise, you know, come on, let's have some therapy. Come on, let's sit down and have some therapy fun. Because in America, it's quite normal to have therapy. Over here, we're so fucking stuck up our own asses that we don't talk about our emotions and feelings. And damn, you express any form of emotion in this country. And damn, you raise your voice. Because you raise your voice, you're mad, you're mental, you're deranged. You cry, oh, well, you're just unstable. Whoa, 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 whoa. You assert yourself in any way, shape, or form. You're aggressive. And they want to say, we have mental health issues. What they have is a fear complex. They have a fear of the consequences of us. Because when a person, use lions as an example. So if I have a cage with a lion, a lioness, and her 2 cubs, and I am going to go and open that gate, and I am going to go in that cage, and I'm going to take them 2 cubs off that lion and that lioness. Okay. Oh shit, who's coming in the cage with me? Won't grab the lion. Well, actually, let's inject the lion, put it to sleep, make sure we knock the things, and then we'll take the babies, and when they wake up, they can be fucking really pissed off and really annoyed, but I won't be in the cage with them. Simple as that. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. In the family courts, they divide the parents immediately. And even if you are going through some form of breakdown in your relationship, say me and Dean, you know, me and Dean are heading into the family courts very soon. You know, and he doesn't even realize what he's heading into. And they won't get us in there to say, look, I want you two to look each other in the eyes, and I want you two to just really seriously make a decision about where this is going. That judge is not going to sit down and go, look, you know, you got 2 paths before you guys where you're going to be, you know, 2 separated couples working together, or let's talk about this and get this sorted. You know, they're not interested. What they're interested in is the £250 that you've just had to pay to go and get, you know, some form of consultation with a solicitor or legal aid, and they drain the legal aid system. They only care about the £260 for the court filings. They only care for the fact that the judge is paid by how many people he sees. They don't care about the fact of it, other than the fact that they're coming in. They're going to probably sit with you for about 40 minutes to try to get some form of understanding. So they're not interested in resolving your relationship. They're not interested in grabbing hold of a couple, banging their heads together and going, there's a lot of shit between you two. Let's get you into mediation, and let's say you got 6 months, guys, and in them 6 months we're going to put you through some family therapy. We're going to give you some help. We're going to help you with pretty much everything that you feel that you might need some help with. And if after that 6 months then you really do want to separate and go your own way, then that's what I do. They're not interested in that. What they're interested in is just getting as much money out of you as possible. And if you're legal aid, they're just going to drain you and drain you and drain you. And if you're legal aid, by the way, you're not being defended. They don't have the hours to do this. And all while this is going on, by the way, you're to keep yourself grounded, straight, and be able to cope with this. As I told the judge in court when they did it to me, what you've basically all just done is pushed me over, held me down, raped me, gagged me, and told me I can't tell anybody. That's what they've just done. They raped me of my children. They raped my children from my womb, from my breast. and they've taken away my veins, my blood, my family, my bloodline, my right to a private life, my right to a family life. They have ripped the seeds of my child from my womb that was knitted in my belly, that I bore and bore a bump and gave birth to and placed onto my breath. I gave birth to all 6 of my children naturally, you know, and I have the right to have as many children as I like. You know, I have the right to be a mother to any child that I like. My job is to be a mother. That is it. That is it. My job is not to be causing a riot. Well, I'm not. I'm rebelling, but a bit of a riot. And we need a riot. You know, my job is not to be planting trees as much as it's lovely to do so. My job is not to be building houses. My job is not to be working for a pharmaceutical company. My job is to be a mother. To be a mother, to raise my children and be a mother. It's not my fault that the majority of fathers no longer wish to support the mothers being a mother. Even if you separate, they don't mind maybe helping out with a couple of pairs of shoes for your kids, but they don't see that it is your full-time job to be a mother. I can only be a mother with the tools and skills that I need to be able to do that. And somebody has to provide that. So then all of a sudden I'm now forced to be a mother who goes to work to provide for the home, the child, and be a mother. And they wonder why us mothers are, you know, getting tired, getting ratty, you know, not there for the children. And but they will pay foster carers to do this. Do you know what I mean? I've got some really funky hairstyles going on. It's my birthday tomorrow, guys. I'm allowed to be a mess. So, you know, I'm talking about mental health. Obviously, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. It's Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Week. And the point that I want to make on this particular video is the fact that the mental health industry is a billion pound industry. The mental health industry charging for your trauma, by the way. So I can come on here and say, I can fix any problem in your life, and I can. Yeah, you've got trauma going on, I can root canal it. You've got issues, you've got childhood issues, you want to deal with it, I can do that. I'm trained to do it, I'm experienced to do it, I'm qualified to do it. I can root canal you, and I can take you through any form of transition from where you are to where you want to be, and I can coach you alongside for you to achieve that. Easy. But what are you going to pay for it? And this is where it's completely expensive, because you don't expect a builder to work for free. You don't expect a social worker to work for free. You don't expect a council housing person to work for free, but you expect people who heal people to work for free. I'm a healer. That's what I do. I don't have to speak it or tell it. That's just what I'm here to do. I'm here to heal your spiritual trauma, your separation from source. So I'm here to basically plug you back into the real source. So pull you out of the system and plug you back into the real source. So you are here to break your chains, and I'm here to help you do that and to take back your heart, mind, and soul. And when you do that and have a revolution with yourself, then mental health is not an issue. You will have mental health because you will be able to face any form of traumatic situation. And also you will be able to stand in a situation where, now, before I go, let me use this as an example. You're walking down the road, casually, and all of a sudden, you've got somebody stood in front of you. You've got somebody coming into the side. You've got somebody coming into the side. And you can feel somebody coming up the back of you. I'm still staggering. I'm still moving, guys, because I'm streaming still. And all of a sudden, you can feel all of these people coming in. What's the first thing that you do? You go into fight and flight. First thing, okay? Unaware. Who is who? Who's what? What is their intentions? Are they coming to attack? Are they letting you know something? And you're in fight and flight. Yeah? Hang on, there's someone behind you. And you've got to watch your back, watch all your sides. And you've got to be able to do this and remain calm, knowing full well that these people around you are going to hold you down, gag you, beat you, rape you, murder you, pillage you, take your children, and take your whole future away from you. And you got to do it with a smile on your face, honey. And that is pretty much what it's like going into any form of multi-agency situation. Hello. Or any social services, family courts, or anything like that. And it's about time that the services recognized the internal fight that the person is having, because you're trying to help somebody who, one, has to help themselves, two, has to be able to deal with their emotions. And the majority of people, hello there, darling, you okay? What's this? You coming for a cuddle? We're gonna say bye-bye? Yeah. Oh, do you know what? This one gives the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cuddles. But what I'm basically saying is, it's not possible for somebody else to physically see or understand what another person is going through. They can empathize because they might have gone through some similar situation. Us parents can all have some form of empathy with each other, but we don't really know how each other is dealing with it. We don't all know how the mother is feeling today, who has just been told during the first stages of course that they are planning at the end of this to not return her child, and they are planning to go for adoption. And she's still got to get up every day and every morning and still have some form of hope and some form of faith that something's going to change and come around and deal with that. You saying hello? You saying hello? And ultimately, we as mothers have got to get our children through this world with a happy smile on their face, healthy and thriving. And when a child is removed while social services can do their Section 47s, they are removing the most important part of our journey here. And that is the bond that is created between the mother and the child. And by the father being in the room, the child imprints on their father. And when that has been missed, it makes it very, very difficult for the children to bond with their father as well. While the children are in foster care and parents are having contact, it is taking away the fundamental needs that are being met by the mother and father: bathing, changing nappies, bless you, attending to the basic needs. And it's not the right way to do this. If I had my own way, I'd have my own centre. Everyone can come and live with me. And, you know, when you're on your own 2 feet, you'll be on your own 2 feet. But there is absolutely no reason whatsoever to separate that bond. And even if you are working with a family that potentially is not going to be raising the child, you want to get that bond as quick as possible, because without that bond, without that identity, children don't grow up to be the full person that they are. Again, then kicking off mental health, people in counselling, and costing the services a lot more money in the long run. You know, so it's about time we now as a society stop gossiping. It's not about gossiping. It's about actually being able to talk to each other, to say, I'm fucking fuming with you right now. The way that you've just dealt with that, these are the consequences that you have just caused me. And you need to be able to see the long-term consequences that you've just caused in my life. And let's deal with this. Because one of the reasons that we're all getting so fucked off is because we are paying the consequences in our lives for other people. Not the consequences that we have caused, but consequences of other people. We could be left in debt by somebody who's, you know, wrapped debt in our lives, or you know, as parents, sometimes we're losing our children not because of our own actions, but because of the actions of other people. And they're not stepping in to resolve that. And of course it causes you to be out of line. Of course it causes for you to be in some form of dissonance. Of course, looking at the whole world that we're in now is so fucking upside down. It really is. And they're wondering why, you know, we're all a little bit upside down right now. So it's time to turn it over. Let's focus on having mental health issues. We all want to have mental health. I want to have mental health. I don't want to have mental disease, but right now in my life, I am going through grief, and I'm going through what's called disenfranchised grief. I deal with depression. I deal with battles with suicide. Some days are great, some days are okay. But as you've seen on a video, I came on this video today and I went, hey guys, it's the 16th of May, and that was great. But 2 days ago, when I went, hey guys, it's the 12th of May, and went, boom, you know, that breakdown that you saw me have could be considered, whoa, hang on a minute, guys, we got to go and get the paramedics, because we got to go and get a doctor and a court, because we got to section this mother. We got cause for concerns for her mental health. Well, fuck you and your fucking mental health bullshit. That is what I say. I have people around me who love me, who care for me, who I can talk to, who I can show that, you know, maybe things are not great. It's not always easy on my family and friends, but they love me and they support me and they help me through the best that they can. And yes, I should be able to talk to a counsellor, and yes, I should be able to talk to a therapist, and yes, I should be able to deal with the trauma, but it isn't something that's going to go away until my children are stood in front of me. I know they're safe and they're here, and I can get on with being the mother that I am, because if they don't give me my kids back, then I'm going to keep being the mother that I am. And if I have to protect my children this way, then that's what I will do. I may not be able to pick them up lovingly in my arms and nurture them in the way that I can, but I can make sure that every single wolf stays away from my kids, because I go harder and faster. And I can make sure that this system changes, so nobody ever wants to cause any problems to my kids, because they know that we're going to come in harder and faster. So at the end of the day, guys, if you have been given some form of mental health label, shake it off. Shake it off. You are not borderline personality. You are not your narcissistic traits. You are not your depression, and you are not your borderline personality or bipolar or whatever fucking diagnosis they want to give you. Just shake it out and get rid of them labels, rip them off. You are you. You are a sentient higher being that is unlimited, that can manifest whatever it is that you need to be in your life. You are a spiritual being here having an extraordinary experience, but you have to break your chains from all of these dogmas and labels and systematic things that they are putting on you. Yes, we're male and female, whatever label you want to give it. One has a penis, one has a vagina. We're different. There is two species, so we can come together to be able to create. Fuck all that gender neutralization bullshit. I'm, you know, not into all of that. Some labels exist. A house is a house, a car is a car. All these sort of things are there, but they're not there to define you in a way that keeps you down. You know, to say I have depression will keep you in depression. 2 seconds, I'm going to jump on his brother. I'm not ready for Elijah to wake up grumpy just yet. And he'd literally just run in there and jump on him. You know, so you are not these things. I'm not saying that you don't see people walking around talking to themselves, rocking and stuff like that, but they are so trapped in the label and the reaction of it that it can be helped, it can be pulled through, it can be done. But anyway, I'm being distracted by my son now, so I'm going to shoot off. So basically, if you are a professional out there that is labeling, diagnosing parents, I ask you to urge to follow your diagnosis through, because judges are not experienced or qualified to read a psychological report. If they were, they would be psychologists. Social workers are not qualified to interpret a psychological report. They just cut and paste it into the parent assessment. And if your parent assessment is exactly the same as your psychological report, be careful. That's not parental assessment. That's an underqualified student that doesn't know what she's doing. Yeah, bored now. So yeah, basically, you are not what other people define you to be. You are who you define you to be, who the Lord created you to be. And you have every right to be that person and not have these people waver you in the way that they are, and not to be fear-mongered by people. Yes, there is going to be potentially 3 outcomes when you go into that court. Your children will remain with you, or they won't. You'll have contact or you won't. And everybody has that same outcome. It's not good, it's not great what we're going through, but right now you can get through that if you don't listen to all these little fuckwits out here, and they are fuckwits, that one, don't want to see you keep your kids because they didn't get to keep theirs. And it's not nice what they're doing, but their subconscious is self-sabotaging you. A lot of people will fearmonger you because at the end of the day, they didn't save their kids. So if you can save yours, it will highlight into them that they could have potentially have saved their own. You know, when I was having Elijah and Shiloh, not one person told me that I was going to keep my kids. They all told me to run, do this, he's going to run, so I might bolt quickly. You know, and people will. I'm not saying that there isn't offshore adoption agencies. There is. I'm not saying that children are not trafficked. They are. But what I'm saying is the reason that the majority of parents are going through this is because they do have confidence issues. There is low self-worth. There is some form of challenge with depression, and you have every right to get the help that you need to be the person that you need to be, and you have every right to demand that help. It's when you go into the system saying you don't need the help and you don't want it that you're going to potentially lose your child. So yeah, as it's Mental Health Week, I just want the mental authorities out there to understand that children are being taken because of these mental health diagnoses, and we have to do a massive big push into mental health to make sure that people who are getting diagnosed with their past thoughts and residual actions are not being labeled and stuck there and kept there for 10, 15, 20 years. If you've got trauma, I can deal with your trauma like that. Okay, I can go hard and fast with you like that. I could sit with you for potentially an hour, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, and I can probably get to the complete ins and outs of your entire life, and I can go like that. Because one, I'm trained to, and two, I'm qualified. I'm not sitting there going, right, well, I need to write a report for the courts, blah, 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 blah. I'm interested in getting to your trauma, ripping that fucking trauma out and moving you on. I'm not interested in you know, writing reports about you or, you know, concluding what I feel, think. And that's not actually what these reports are doing. The reports are only bringing it to the table, and then it's the other side to bring it to the table to deal with those issues. And these people have no right whatsoever. Counselling and psychotherapy protects the person going through it, that all these numpkies have no right to know anything about it. Whether you're taking drugs, whether you've been through sexual abuse, whether you are dealing with any form of personal, it is not the information for the courts. It is yours. It is personal between you and your therapist. All the courts need to know is you are having therapy and you're working through it. They don't need to know any other piece of information about you. They don't need to know any of this stuff. And they have no right to do so. And this is what I want to push. Let me just grab... this is something that I want to be able to push, because people need to start to be considerate about the emotions and traumas that people have been through. When you go for counselling, the first thing they will say is, have you been through this? Have you been through that? Have you been through this? Well, that's all well and good, but that is an emotionless, systematic computer. That is not somebody with hearts, pulses, veins, blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah, you know, that trigger that you saw the other day on May, you know, I allowed for you guys to see that. I didn't need to show you what I was going through. I showed you in the end. I wasn't planning it, but I showed you because I wanted to show you that it's okay to break down. It's okay to break through, and it's okay to be able to, you know, go through those emotions. Because sometimes one of the main reasons that we put masks on and we bottle up and suppress our emotions and our grief is because once we start to let it out, we really do feel like it is the end of the world. That is how it feels. And as you're going through it, sometimes there seems to be no other option other than to take your life, or you really genuinely don't know how you're going to go through it. You breathe and you let it happen. And the more that you allow for those emotions to come out, the less body problems you're going to have, the less mental health issues you're going to have. It's bottling up that causes this. It's the bottling up that causes the anger and the frustration. And when you do let it out, hey, you could end up collapsed on the floor in absolute tears. You really could. So what? It's better to be out than in here. Because when this is closed, you manifest all sorts of shit and you get trapped up in here. Yeah, in here. Yeah? So get out of this and get into this. Yeah? Yeah? Is that the message today? Break your chains. Have a revolution with yourself. Take back your heart, mind, and soul. And get out of this and into this. And have an absolute heart-throbbing day. And on that note, I'm going to check out and see you later. And please, you know, if you are going through the courts right now and you have got given a psychological assessment, don't worry about it. There's no shame in going through trauma. There's no shame in being told that the branches of your tree is wavering around a little bit, and it's cool. It's cool. I'm dealing with grief and trauma, and if people don't like that, then get out of my way, because I'm going to be dealing with it whether you accept it or not. It doesn't go away just because somebody's got a problem with it. The person who has a problem with it is more likely to be going away. And if anybody wants to step to me and say that because I'm going through emotions, that the best thing that they can do is arrest me in the back of a fucking wagon and throw me into a thing and stick James's. Seriously? They don't even keep a Bible in these places. Why would I want to sit in there all day? And their art room is absolutely shit. That is not the way to deal with people's trauma. I would love to get a way of just getting you all on a retreat and over the space of 3 days, just literally thrashing it out. And I'll guarantee you guys, with the way that I work, it doesn't matter what you've been or what you've gone through, I will make it completely insignificant. That it's just like that. And it's not about it being insignificant. It's not about your trauma. That's the wrong word for me to use, and I apologise. It's okay to say, I was pinned down and raped, or my mum left me, or my dad left me, or I feel alone or isolated. And sometimes it's really hard to say that you feel lonely, or you don't really feel like you have any family or friends, or that, you know, maybe you don't trust anybody. That's fine. It's just where you are right now. And you can change that in an instant by accepting where you are right now and facing things that you maybe necessarily didn't face. You know, you look in the mirror, do you see a complete fat thing or a complete thin thing? Sorry, I thought it was Liam shouting for the trees, keys. You know, so I just lost my mind then. And it's okay to lose your minds, guys. It's okay. We don't want to be in our minds anyway. You know, what is it? Can't think what it is. I was trying to think what, it was a quote that I was trying to remember, and it just went completely blank. You know, so be kind to yourself. You've been through a lot, and it's okay to not compare it to somebody having a worse situation than you. You have to deal with you and your circumstances. But when you rip those traumas away, you find a whole different garden. You know, I love gardens with weeds. I find nature really beautiful, but I find a pruned garden that's been well maintained and kept just as beautiful. And we have a chance now this week to, I've got lots and lots and lots of coaches, you know, I keep going on about Robins and stuff like that. All the coaches have come out to say that this week we're all going to work for free to help talk about mental health, to help people. and they're all out there. So you literally, if you want to find somebody this week who's dealing with some form of issue, and you know, if you're a male and you want to you know, maybe have a male that's going to be talking to you, then please go over and connect with my friend Daniel, and he will be he's talking about mental health this week as well, and quite a lot of all of the other different coaches and also people through the coaching academy are all doing this as well. And literally all week, Nisha, she's out there speaking on the platforms for mental health, and a lot of us have come through it. And the reason that we've become coaches is because we've had to learn to overcome our trauma, and we want to help other people come through that trauma as well. And I want to help coach people to not get stuck into this system. What the mess, look at you. Look at that. Now that's a real child. That is a real child. A messy child is a happy child. Yes, yes. So anyway, guys, it's EDS week, so EDS month. So on that note, I've been taking a couple of days of recovery. Had a meeting yesterday, which I did a quick live on, and preparing for July, and then obviously getting this stuff out. And yeah, you know, this week, guys, just, you know, whatever that label is, for my birthday gift to you is you're more than a label. Okay, so appreciate it, understand it, but go beyond it. And on that note, I love you, Olivia, and I'll catch you all later. Bye bye. Say bye bye.